In chaotic systems, the appearance of equal-length oscillations does not signal balance or stability. It signals something much more delicate. A brief moment in which a chaotic process attempts to organize itself. Chaos is not pure randomness. It contains windows, short, fragile intervals where the system synchronizes around a temporary rhythm. When two cycles appear with the same duration, it is not a coincidence, and it is not a pattern in the traditional technical sense. It is a behavioral signal that the system has momentarily locked onto a local frequency, forming what nonlinear dynamics refers to as a periodic window or transient periodicity. This window does not last. It is not a stable attractor, but its appearance reveals an important truth. The system is near a decision point, a threshold, a place where its internal dynamics are trying to shift into a new organizational mode. In theory, this typically implies one of two states. First possibility. The system is before a bifurcation. It is attempting to maintain a single dominant cycle before that cycle splits into 2, 4, 8, and so forth, the well-known doubling cascade of chaotic progression. Second possibility. The system is after a previous bifurcation. It has already split, and is now stabilizing inside a temporary rhythm before progressing again. In both scenarios, equal-length repetitions are not symmetry in the geometric sense, they are behavioral symmetry. They represent the system's attempt to self-organize. They are the closest thing chaos has to a message. Noise trying to become a pattern. A system searching for a temporary attractor. Applying this understanding to the chart. Now let us translate this theoretical lens into what we see on the chart. Here, the situation becomes even more meaningful. We do not see two repeating segments, we see three. Three structural units, each highlighted, each nearly identical in duration and internal rhythm. In chaotic dynamics, this is profoundly important. Three repetitions around the same temporal frequency do not appear accidentally. They represent a structural tendency rather than noise, a repeated attempt by the system to lock onto a transient cycle. It is a sign of underlying coherence inside a chaotic environment. This repetition is not happening in isolation. It is framed by a much larger geometric tension. From above, a descending channel compresses price action, narrowing with time. From below, a curved, accelerating structure, a parabola, lifts the system upward. These are opposing forces, each carrying its own dynamical velocity. The meeting point of a contracting channel and an expanding parabolic base is not just technical geometry. It is the visual imprint of a system being squeezed into instability, a state extremely close to what chaos theory would call a phase transition. When a chaotic process is compressed from two sides, one constricting, one accelerating, it cannot remain in this configuration indefinitely. It must shift into a new mode. The tension itself forces evolution. Inside each of the three highlighted segments, the same internal behavior repeats. A sharp downward impulse. A brief deviation or pause. A gentle breakout outward. This is a fractal pattern of reaccumulation under chaotic constraints. The system temporarily stabilizes, fails, stabilizes again, fails again, until the accumulated tension becomes sufficient for a structural release. The horizontal reference line around 1.174 amplifies this meaning. It is not merely resistance or an arbitrary level. It functions as a temporary attractor, a recurrent gravitational point the system gravitates toward. Historically, price approached this level from the left. Now the entire parabolic structure rises into it again, from below. This convergence is not random. It is the locus where the internal symmetry of the three repeated cycles meets the external geometry of the trend. A confirmed break above 1.174 would therefore not simply be a bullish breakout. In the language of dynamic systems, it would represent a transition across a local instability threshold, the market entering a new structural regime. Final synthesis. The repeating symmetry in this chart is not a chart pattern. It is not technical analysis in the traditional sense. It is symmetry of behavior, not shape. The system repeats. One cycle, then another, then a third, each with strikingly similar duration and internal rhythm. In chaotic systems, when a base cycle repeats 3 consecutive times, the system is rarely stabilizing, it is preparing for escalation. The next phase typically involves a larger, faster, more volatile movement, akin to the onset of a bifurcation in theory. And this chart captures exactly that. A chaotic contraction occurring 3 times, each reinforcing the next, framed by converging geometric constraints that force the system toward a decisive transition. Should price break above the 1.174 to 1.1618 level, the system would likely shift into a new phase entirely, a higher-order dynamic with broader amplitude and increased volatility. This is the essence of what the chart communicates. Not simple patterns, but chaotic behavior organizing itself, preparing for its next evolutionary step.